think like the lesson is humans are, we're very self-protective, right? We, think about a funeral or passing, like, we deal with trauma and we're sad, but then we quickly forget about those things. And I am such a person that does not believe in looking. So you're comfortable with yourself, you can love yourself, then you can love others and be a good leader, father, CEO, executive, entrepreneur, whatever your thing.
Focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
Is that Jeremy? What's going on, dude? How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing unbelievable, man. What's cooking?
That's great. Where is that a screensaver? That's legit background.
That's my front yard, man.
That's awesome. Whereabouts are you?
So I'm in Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And how about you? I know you're East Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay. All right. So the home of Abraham Lincoln.
That's right. Abraham Lincoln.
Have you ever been to the
some bourbon, some
log cabin?
racehorses? Yeah, so I'm actually from a small town called Bardstown, and the Lincoln home site is it was a home site or birth site, because the land of Lincoln is Illinois, but his birth site was I think just like 10 minutes on the road. It's pretty cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And so did they teach you a lot about Abraham Lincoln when you were in school?
I think we did a field trip maybe at sixth grade, and
Okay.
yeah, it was a Catholic school, so a lot more religion.
That's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And how did you get started in your line of work? Like who pushed you to that direction? Did you have a mentor? Did you have somebody that taught you the business? What?
Yeah, so I started out on Wall Street through like a very, windy road of day trading at 19. But I ended up getting a career on Wall Street. And other than making money, I was making a lot of it. I was doing really, really well. Um, I didn't feel like I was creating anything. I just didn't feel fulfilled, right? I was driving a BMW. The guy 30 years my senior was driving a Bentley, right? I mean, like it wasn't that big of a difference. So I went through some struggles and younger in life, and I think, what's the worst that could happen? And kind of went out on my own, and I wrote a book called Without a Plan. That's literally like the last 25 years have just been like one step to the next step, and you know how they go. They just kind of build and lessons, teach you lessons, and then you just stack them up.
You made millions and millions of dollars. You lost it all.
Mhm.
Tell us about that experience, man, and what are some of the lessons that you learned in that?
Well, I think there's a lot, most, I guess the first and foremost is, nothing is permanent, right? Nothing good will always be good and nothing bad will always be bad. In the moment, you always have the typical, feelings, right? So I lost my dad when I was 7. So I had like the small inheritance, and we grew up in, like I said, small rural Kentucky. And so I had like $30,000, and my mother, has always given me a little bit, of rope to try to learn and, give me some space. So she let me start trading that account at 17. So I took that, and day trading, self-taught completely. And by 19 in college, I traded that 30 grand up to 2 million. I lost it in 4 days, which was not as cool. That happened
All
when the
right,
dot
you got to
com.
tell us how you did that, man. Like
Well,
how does that happen?
well, I mean, trading naked, basically day trading naked, self-taught without any hedges, right? I had no option hedge, no stop losses. I'm not sure if you're familiar with margin or, basically using your portfolio value as leverage. So
But I
I had
mean,
2
you were
million,
you
but I
were
was
smart enough, Jeremy. You were smart enough to get it to 2 million. How were you not smart
smart.
enough to?
I,
Did you just
s-
invest
Smart's
into
generous.
like
Smart is generous. I mean, I was gambling, but it was lucky, and this is in like the late 90s, right? So
right,
massive bull market. And I
bro?
traded two stocks,
Right.
JDS Uniphase and Qualcomm. So
Okay.
I knew
Okay.
those stocks, it had a lot of volatility. So I
Right.
knew that well. And but again, I was also young, dumb, 19-year-old testosterone filled kid that you couldn't tell anything. So I was unteachable. I knew everything, right? I was like trading on my Palm Pilot, if you remember what those were, like wireless Palm. And yeah, so I saw volatility I love. So you just leverage up and leverage up. And then if you don't have staying power, I had no backstop. I was literally all in. So that's how it happens really quickly. You can't cover the margin calls. You got to sell the position and then you just kind of, you're out. So in that moment, to answer your question, like it's the worst thing. You have shame. I had a lot of shame and guilt because like, hey, like I lost not only like all this money, but like it was like my inheritance, my dad, there's an emotional component to it. And after drinking myself to sleep for 3 or 4 days, you can kind of like, wake up and like, all right, well, what am I going to do? Because this isn't productive. Like, it's not making me feel better, and it's not actually getting me out of the hole. So you could, put your tail between your legs and head back and go back home to barge down to your mom, or go out and see what happens. So the one of the worst things that ever happened in my life, I think, turned out to be one of the better things that happened to me because that's what gave me the courage to leave Fidelity. I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because I literally had a simple thing. Well, if I go out in business, what's the worst that could happen? And there was never a scenario I could model where I would lose $2 million in 4 days, and I'm still here with that. So I could always go back on Wall Street. I could always go back and do it. My first year in business, I made $6,000. My rent in my Union Square apartment was 4,500 a month. So luckily, I had some savings. But that's it. And I think like the lesson is humans are, we're very self-protective, right? We, think about a funeral or passing, like, we deal with trauma and we're sad, but then we quickly forget about those things. And I am such a person that does not believe in looking in the rear view, but there are, and dwelling in it, but there are some lessons. You do have to understand like what your hero's journey was and what your origin story is. So you're comfortable with yourself, you can love yourself, then you can love others and be a good leader, father, CEO, executive, entrepreneur, whatever your thing is.
So if you're coaching a 18-year-old kid right now, and you're going to guide them, go to college, don't go to college, what do you say?
Yeah, and I'm sure I've got 3 kids myself, so I've got an 11-year-old. I don't know. I struggle with this. I don't know what my advice is going to be to him. So I think that's obviously the best advice that what I'm going to do to my own son. It's likely going to be unless he wants to go to school for a trade, and I'm not saying electrician. It could be, I mean, a doctor, lawyer, architect, those are all trades, right? So if you need to go to a school where like you have, certain certification, qualifications, very specific set of skills that you're trained into, then I think college is a path. And he actually loves building. I'm a developer as well, so he likes architecture. Maybe that's the path that he goes down. But if you're just want to be in business or something like that, um, I'd say save your money, unless you're super connected and you've got, like you're a legacy and you've got some connections and you can go to like a really, really choice school. Not that you're going to get any better education, but you're going to have better networks. That's it. In college, I learned how to deal with people. That's mainly I learned how to deal with people from all different socio-eco backgrounds. So I would say no on college, unless you're like, if you're a gen ed or just a business major, I would go that. What I would say is take that money and go and fucking take some chances and, invest in yourself, some personal development, start some business, like fail. Like I wrote a book literally talking about 20 years of failing. Like that's what I've done. And that's how I've been successful, not through the luck and the things that happen. I mean, that you need that in business, but what you really learn, the big takeaways or the lessons are the failures. Cause you're like, that's when you really triage. How many people triage and do an autopsy on success post-mortem? Like, oh, it's a great deal. Like no one, but it's like, wow, if you really go through and do a post-mortem, like, wow, how did I mess this up? What happened? And you learn from it. Like that's the power of kind of going through. So like coaching now, it's I'm sadly I say it's easy, but not that I'm even that smart, but I've just seen so much in my career that I've just been through, or if I've not been through exactly what you've been through, I've been through a scenario or I've seen one like it that you can kind of talk to. And that's the power of, just mentoring or coaching is just, shrinking time. And usually a lot of savings as well from mistakes and
Yeah,
costs and
we've
losses.
we've heard the I mean, we've heard the stories, man, the Michael Jordan, taking the 3,000 shots or whatever it was in, the winning shots and failing most of the time. I mean,
Yes.
look, we've all heard it, and I think that it's like there has to be a realization for people to one day wake up and say, all right, life is a numbers game. I mean,
Yeah.
when you get up every single day and you get a brand new day, right? New sun, new day. Like, what am
Hmm.
I going to do with it?
Yeah.
And you just, and we all fuck up so many days, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's like,
Yeah.
so, and so many days get wasted, uh, for whatever reason, we
Yeah.
waste days, but we're all human. That's a human experience. Every single person on this planet has wasted days, has screwed up days, has failed in their days. And so I think it's awesome that you talk about it. And I think that even the kids that you're mentoring, to tell them maybe college isn't the answer, which I think is the right. I mean, in my opinion, I think college is rarely the right answer, simply because it's just a place where they take your money, no refunds,
Yeah.
and they take your money and teach you stuff that, in many cases, is outdated. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
you can learn better.
especially now with this new thing called compute and AI. Like I was on a call with a buddy today, and I mean, like, like we were trying. How do you describe this? Like, I don't know, the wheel. How about that? Like the wheel. Like it's that big of a massive thing, and it's and you know how tech goes. I mean, the velocity of what we're going to see. I mean, it's going to be the Jeffersons. I'm sorry, the Jetsons, very soon. Do you see this new tech that Ring has come out with?
No.
It's called the Always Home. Thing. So as opposed to having all these 20 Ring cameras in there, it's a robot drone that basically you can go through and say on your Ring camera, hey, check out the front door. Hey, go check out Lucy's room. So you sync it up just, and then now it just floats out and goes through. Or if it hears a noise, it kind of goes through. I mean, it's crazy. And this is like consumer tech. You look at like the Vision Pro from Apple. Like I don't know if you've demoed those. I did that with my son. Like, dude, if this is consumer tech for 4Gs, like what's really the good stuff? I mean, there's so much out there. So yeah, to your point on college, it's going to be, the future is super bright, but there's definitely going to be some interesting things when a big, section of our workforce won't necessarily have a, the same job that they have now. That's interesting. On your Jordan analogy, I think there's I heard one similar with tennis, but it's just all mindset. And even like I'm better at it because like we all have momentum. We wake up with these fresh days, but like this momentum, like it's a good day and we have that energy, and then like shit happens, like oh fuck, now it's a bad day, and like it's even someone that I'm pretty big in mindset and manifestation, I think, and I've practiced it for a while. Even me, I can get in my own head and like, dude, just fucking stop it. Like, what are you doing? Because this is not productive. Like, okay, woe is me, feel bad, or kick yourself in the head, and like, because it's a waste of time. A great thing I heard, I think it was Federer or someone, and he talks about like being the number one tennis player in the world. And wow, look at that pedestal. And he broke it down to the exact similar number to, and I don't have the specs, but like of that, in that year, I'm number one. I lost, 49, 49% of points. Of
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
So like nearly half of the time you fucking lost. Almost half.
And I love
That two
Jeremy.
percent, that 2% is the delta of being the number one in the world. And the way you can do it is like every point, like, yep, it's the most intense thing. But then after it happened, win or loss, it's over. And I think that's the hard thing for people, that they hold on, they're victims, all these different pieces. So yeah. And
I
it's
love
just,
having these conversations. What I was going to say, I love having these conversations with successful people because, I mean, I've interviewed over 200. I mean, I might even be approaching 300 people now, but I've interviewed over 250, successful people like yourself and celebrities and, from all walks of life. And I love having this conversation because, you know, I love for people to watch people that have had some success in their life. I love for people to watch us and just let everybody know that we're fucking human too.
yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with you, that you had a bad day, that you screwed something up, that you failed, that you messed up, that you said something wrong, that somebody laughed at you, it's like, I love having these conversations on camera because this
yeah,
is the kind of stuff maybe we're going to talk about while we're just hanging out on the golf course, but to allow everybody in and to go, okay, every day I slept like shit last night, by the way. I don't know why. I just slept bad last night,
Yeah.
because I'm human. Sometimes you get shit in your head. Sometimes you're overthinking things. Sometimes you're thinking about whatever, and you just never know, right?
Right.
What's going to happen in your day until it happens. What I do try to do is get up every day with a fresh mindset. I look in the mirror, man. Great things always happen to me. I got some stuff that I say to myself. I think
Yeah.
to myself. I try to visualize every single day. I got a dream video that I watch. There's all kinds of things that I do to try to put me in the right
Say.
perspective in the right place. And that's what I think people don't get, is that to be successful at anything, you just got to be a little bit better than most people, because you're never going to be perfect. There's nobody that's perfect. So stop aiming for perfection and start saying, okay, I'm going to be the best that I can be every single day. If I get 1% better every day, what's my life going to look like in 10 years?
Yeah.
If I just got a little bit better every day.
100%. Yeah. I mean, perfection is the death of progress. Right. And, but I think that's it. And if you, not even, the mindset, just getting started, that's the biggest piece, like taking the stance, taking one step. And, it's so easy because, you change the framework of the outcome. Cause like, I don't care what it is, you're wanting to leave your job and invest $1 million in your startup, or you want to buy a GoDaddy domain for $10 and like put up a Canva website, whatever like spectrum you are on. Some people, those are paralyzing decisions, the $10 or the million, like, and whatever. And it's so simple. Like, cause I'm like, I coach, like, guarantee you guys, only one of two things are going to happen. If you just take whatever that step is, leave your job, buy the website, one of two things are going to happen. It's going to work, which hopefully it doesn't, but it's going to work. And if it does, it's good. It's because you're going to give you progress to go and encourage to go to the next step. The only other scenario is it doesn't work, which is the best thing, because now not only like you're going to learn more, but you're going to realize like, holy shit, I didn't die. It's still here. The sky's still going. So now you're like, that's going to give you even more confidence. Like, all right, well, now let's go through. That wasn't so bad. So those micro steps of kind of taking it when that lever, then now with more information, you're empowered. You do that and you outpace so many, right? I mean, it's scary. And I think the other piece on kind of going behind the curtain a bit is, you've seen this, right? I mean, I've been in a lot of rooms and I've got, probably 2 or 3 billionaire buddies, and no one is that fucking different, dude. I'm a fucking, small town kid from Nowheresville, Kentucky, man. Like literally middle class, like trauma, but I'm nothing special at all. So if I can do it, so you can do it, you've done it, right? I mean, like, and the people that you idolize and kind of go through on these, Forbes, they're not any different than you. They may have a very separate, special set of skills, super bright. They're all very passionate and laser focused in what they want to do and make an impact. That's it at the end of the day. And sometimes you put these guys and girls up on a pedestal, like, oh my gosh, but they're just people, and they fucked up just as well as you have. Most of the time,
And
much larger, most bigger.
and I think too, Jeremy, is that I think a lot of sometimes we nobody ever wants to say they're lucky, but let's be honest, right? Luck does play a part in a lot of success stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just telling somebody the other day that I go into business and I'm just trying to get things going. My first year, full year, well, I was kind of part-time, but I was really working hard. I mean, every waking moment I was working hard at trying to get my business going, and I made 15 grand my first year. So, I mean, that was hard work.
Yeah.
And so I get what you were talking about. I mean, I made almost nothing, and then but I just kept going. Thank God I didn't quit. Thank God I
Yeah.
just kept going. I just kept putting in the work, putting in the reps, just going. And it's funny because after a couple of years, I was doing okay, but I wasn't super successful. I hadn't made millions or anything. And so I ended up having to take a class for the company, and I go into this class, and it was actually kind of an open class where other companies, other agents could come in and go to this class. And anyways, bottom line, I ended up sitting next to this lady, And this lady ends up, I follow up with her for like 6 months, and she ends up, joining my team and ends up becoming, one of the number one people in my organization. But that one, I mean, literally, that one conversation pays me $500,000 a year in passive
Huh.
income from
Right.
that one just me sitting next to this woman in
Yeah.
this class. I might not, if I don't sit next to that lady right now, who knows where the
What else
world
happens?
would
Yeah.
have taken me. But I look at it like that because I think some people, but for me, I get out of the house as much as I can. I meet as many people as I possibly can. I have as many relationships. I network as much as I possibly can, because I look at every single interaction, every single, as a possibility where not only could I make new friends, but I could build great business relationships or just even great friend relationships. And all of us need, I think, especially in this age of technology, I think all of us need more friends. We need
Yeah.
more social networks around us that are pushing us up, that are rooting us on, that are helping us, that are guiding us. And so anyways, I just wanted to mention that because I think a lot of people think they don't realize that there's a lot of luck. If you were to look at Bill Gates, or if you were to look at Steve Jobs, or you to look at Mark Zuckerberg, or you look at all these successful people, every single one will probably tell you that there was some moment that if they would have taken a left instead of a right, maybe, just maybe, they might not have been in the situation that they're in so quickly. And so, anyways, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I mean, you hear Zuck, he gave a keynote one time and he talks about all the things that he built before that kind of fail, right? Like Bezos is known for Amazon, but like, he was successfully tried, but it started as just books, right? I mean, so if you look at that kind of same approach, um, yeah, I agree.
If you had a choice between $100 million and peak physical health for the rest of your life, which one would you pick?
Health.
Health. Okay.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and that wasn't always the case. I've invested in, I don't know, 200 something businesses across my career. And the last 10 years, a lot of that has actually been in healthcare and a lot of the integrative, like age management type of space. We had a pharmacy business, telemed, et cetera. And my first foray was like in regenerative medicine and animal health. But I remember this was like 2016. Um, I was a CEO because I invested so much money in this pharmacy at an anti-aging conference. And I see all these doctors who look just unbelievably great. If you're on video, you got obviously beautiful, great hair. I have no hair. But I mean, everyone there just looked incredible and not like plasticky fake, just in great shape. And I'm like, wow, what's going on? Like I was weighing at 320 pounds, I think, at that event, just like, had resources, but just no breakfast, not working out, no lunch, bottles of wine and bourbon at steak dinners every single night, sleeping like shit. And you're like, wow. And I actually and I still don't really favor traditional healthcare. I think healthcare is so messed up in this country. It's a joke. Hopefully it changes now, but we'll see. But I kind of just written off doctors like, okay, whatever they're going to do, it's just going to read up a book. It's like they're looking at, WebMD Pro. But I went and really took my health seriously. And then, you don't know what it's like to be, it's hard to feel unhealthy because just like you get comfortable with it, right? Humans get so comfortable. So you don't realize until you get healthy and you're like, holy shit, right? Like now, like, I mean, I did like the NFL combine, like bench press thing for 225 the other day for like 17 for like a prop bet with some buddies. Like, I mean, I couldn't have done that in high school, right? So like I'm in better shape than ever. And like, dude, that's it. You hear the $100 million thing, take that guy with, some beautiful, attractive model that he goes to some deserted island and give that motherfucker a toothache. Guess what he's talking about? Not, he's not thinking about the hot model, not talking about the cash. He's talking about that. So like that health is something that you take completely for granted when you have it, only until you don't. Yeah.
Is there anything that you do daily that you don't compromise on? I mean, in your health regimen, your routine?
Um, well, so from health regimen, no, so I for probably 3 or 4 years, I did OMAD, which is like one meal a day. It was just worked out for my lifestyle, right? Because I wasn't a big breakfast guy. I would, fasted leg day was the worst, but I would do that and then just have one big meal for dinner. And then I just felt like that was kind of plateauing, so I stopped that this year to mix it up. But I work out, I do heavy weights. I don't really do much cardio, heavyweight training, 3 days a week, and then like a one day of like a circuit type of training, and try to eat well. But I live. I mean, we've got a business called True Diagnostic, so we've like looks at biological age. So we like Brian Johnson, so he's like a big customer, and he's got this whole "Don't Die" movement. They did a documentary on him. Like Brian is the opposite. Like Brian wants to live to 200. I'm happy to squeak in by 100 by 120 or so and duck out, right? I still enjoy a nice glass of wine and eat. So I've got, like I said, 3 kids, so there's birthday cake and kind of going through. So if I had, if my, thankfully I've got a lot of muscle on me. That way it helps make up for all the mistakes outside the gym with calories and stuff. But yeah, that's that from a health and fitness thing. But just like you, I do think rituals are important. Like you talked about, like your vision video and like those type of things. I have say a prayer, like I'm not just saying spiritual, but say a prayer to God, whatever you believe in, the universe, every morning, like without fail. And it's more just about like gratitude, and then yeah, similar things like, hey, good things happen to me. I'm happy with my life, like those type of positive affirmations. Um, because I think we forget about being grateful, and we forget about all the good shit that we have, right? It's easy to think about the stuff, and I've traveled the world and been lucky to launch companies in 26 countries and spent a lot of time in Asia and in the Philippines. Like that, the people there, is always like just resonated with like, how like shitty Americans can be, right? Because like, you see these people that have like don't have 1/1000th of what we have. Like literally, like I mean, they've got these thousands of like they're called sorry stores, SARRI. And they're basically everything in there is like in sachets because that's how they live by the day. Like they literally are living day by day. So this is enough bread for me for the day. This is enough tablets or whatever for the day. And it's like, but everyone is fucking smiling and happy and grateful. So like it just shows you like that appreciation that we lack that gratitude, I think, sometimes. So it's a good reminder.
Great reminder, man. Philippines was amazing. I'm actually going to be traveling there real soon. I would like to open up a business over there in Philippines. So with my co-author, actually, that co-author of my book. So she's Australian, but she has a lot of businesses out in Philippines. So we're actually in the works talking about some pretty cool things. But
Yeah,
back to the
let me know.
Brian Johnson thing. I've been following Brian Johnson for like a year now, probably about a year now.
Mhm.
And I've been doing all this stuff and I supplements and
The mud pudding in
oh
the
yeah, I eat it every day. It's my
yeah,
favorite breakfast. Like
yeah,
literally, I probably have that 5 to 6 times a week for my
yeah,
breakfast because it fills me up and it takes me up until 4 in the afternoon or whatever.
yeah.
So but it's wild. I'm 50 years old, man.
You look
I mean,
great.
I just turned 50 years old and my biological age is like 43.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I
Did you use
just
ours? Did you get True? Which test did you get? Novos, True,
the function health.
Function. Okay, yep, yep.
Yeah. And it was like
Mark Hyman.
150
Yeah,
biomarkers or
Mark
something
Hyman.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's I'll tell you, man, I'm in the best shape of my life, man. I feel good right now. I
yeah,
mean, better than ever, health wise and just everything. But I think that it's a habit, and I don't want to live forever. I don't want to live to 200. I'm the same way. I think me and you probably get along pretty good because I do like to have a glass of wine every now and then. I don't really drink alcohol very much, but and I eat right. I eat, pretty good. But it's funny that once you get your habits right, for somebody to give me a donut or something really sweet or really, just you just know it's bad for you.
yeah.
I mean, not that I wouldn't ever do it. I'll have a piece of a donut or something like that, but just to, take care of that urge or whatever. But the truth is, I don't really have the urge very often, and it actually is kind of gross to me. So
Mhm.
if I see somebody eating nasty, like fried chicken, or like I would never, I mean, again, if you love fried chicken, go for it. But me personally, there's so many things that you would maybe eat in the past. And
Mhm.
now we know that it's just shit, right? It's just
Yeah.
bad for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not appealing to me anymore. I'd rather eat asparagus or like, I
Same.
mean,
But
like
yeah,
a good salad with salmon or chicken or, something real, with protein or what. I don't know. I feel like it's just better for me and I feel better too.
yeah. No,
So what is it about? Is it just programming? Like we've just been fucking programmed,
I
right?
th I think it's a lot of that. I think it's a lot of that because like, dude, let's face it, people can justify a ton of stuff, right? We all have habits. Like when I was 320, I had habits. They were just fucking really bad, right? Now it's just a different habit. So we just changed them out. So we still have different habits from that perspective. But man, I think truly, and this is getting better. But not quick enough is there. I mean, there is a socioeconomic component to this. I think that eating well is not as easy, right? I mean, like you look at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, these fast food, I mean, it should be criminal, right? I mean, the amount, like all these ingredients, they're not just fucking like coming up with those things just randomly to make the fucking chicken taste good. I mean, there's so much data. I mean, other than maybe handicapping in casinos, like the amount of data that they're putting into like the food science of this to make that so addictive to kind of go through and spike dopamine levels and all those pieces. So I think that's one. So it's just so plentiful. And then from the cost standpoint, you cannot feed your family whole foods like for half the fucking cost, right? It's going to be double to feed your family whole foods as opposed to going, to whatever grocery and getting a thing of fried chicken or something like that that's pre-made. So that I think is the biggest piece is like, everyone's just so conformed and used to it. Now you've got a much more, hopefully quicker population that's getting educated from guys like Brian and all this stuff. Like, hey, this kind of makes sense. Like, why is obesity like? I mean, there's so much data, like you can't see it. It's so common sense, but some people just still don't get it. Oh, that's not right, or a Diet Coke's not going to hurt me. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah, I think too, it's a good wake up call for people because I think a lot of people watching this right now, they're probably success minded. They want to make money. It's called Wealth on the Beach podcast, right? So,
right.
people want to become wealthy. They want to make money, but this is a good wake up call as we're having this conversation that you got to make money. You gotta start growing your net worth. You got to start becoming, if you want to live longer, I think you got to make more because now I know people have done, I've seen Instagrams are like, well, if you just eat this and it's less amount and all that kind of stuff. I think the problem is the time issue. Whereas it's easier to go to McDonald's and get a
Yeah,
whole thing of food for your family real fast because you just got out of work. You're a single mom, and you just got out of work. It's friggin' 7 o'clock, and you got to
yeah.
feed your kids. And then, so think about it, you're feeding them bad shit like right before they go to bed.
Go to
You know,
bed for school. Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's like it's wrong across the board. But it's prevalent in the United States. That's why most people are overweight or obese, right? Like 40 something percent or something like that. And so, but it's a tragedy, but at the same time, it's avoidable for anybody watching this right now or listening to this. It's avoidable.
Yeah.
How? Go out and get a side hustle if you have to. Go out and make some extra money. Go out and because imagine, right? The Brian Johnson thing cost me $350 a month. So it's
Hmm.
basically my breakfasts per month are $350, right? Most
Right,
people are not going to spend $350 just on breakfast for one person, by the way.
right.
And so the challenge is the only way to really consume good stuff. And I'm getting every vitamin, every mineral, every you name it in these, in the things that I'm buying. And so I'm obviously over time, I'm going to be more and more healthy as long as I take care of myself and stay away from, bad food and things like that. But you got to make money. And
Yeah.
so, how do you feel about that? I mean, there is kind of a separation happening where I almost feel like the reason why they're poisoning people in the McDonald's and the all these different food places is because the manufacturers of the drugs, they're big investors into a lot of these different corporate. I mean, I think there's a big backside story, backstory that a lot of us don't really understand. I don't know. What do you think about that? I think you know where I'm going with that.
Oh, I do for sure. So I'm just Googling, so I have like exactly the exact right number. So sorry for you down. So like
Yeah.
Pfizer, they've been around for 176 years.
Right.
Haven't cured a fucking disease one. Right. So like imagine you've done business for 176 and you have a drug company and you've not fucking cured anything.
Right.
So that's your lesson. And they're not alone. Every pharma company is the same. So look, I mean I can turn this all political, but like I don't know if you used to watch any RFKs,
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah. I love
the
RFK.
confirmation hearings and all this stuff. It's like it's so blatant. It's like so blatant. I firmly believe like, in 20 years from now in school, they're going to talk about just like how like the stuff that we've dealt with in our society, in our country, inefficiencies, spending, waste, abuse, like poisoning our population is going to be like looked upon as like one like shock. Shock is the same way as like, they didn't have antibiotics or like, treatments like, and that's why people died of like, a staph infection, 50, 60 years ago. Like that's we're going to be in this massive shock. So yeah, I think there's definitely hand in hand from the, FDA, right, from the food and then, from the drug side that's kind of going
There's
through.
just so
I mean,
much
look,
money. I mean,
look,
the
yeah,
same thing.
look at Ozempic.
Yeah.
Ozempic, all these GLP-1s. I mean, trillions of dollars, trillions of dollars. In RFK saying he talked about, and I'll butcher this as well, but someone should watch it. And this just shows you the amount of like you don't believe that it's actually true because like, how can this actually be true? But they like the Pygmy Indians. That could be wrong as well, but like this is North Dakota, and the government basically, used eminent domain and took their land. This is like not of late. This is like as in the last 20 years. Took the land in order to be, retribution of that. Hey, we're sorry. We're going to just take care of you forever. So they start sending them government, subsidized food, right? Which is all processed shit. So this small cultural population of hundreds of people, like so super small, had like obesity of like less than 1%. 5 years after being on the US of A program here in this country, 60% obesity, 60%. So what did our NIH do? Have you heard this?
No, no.
So they sent scientists, researchers, and spent millions of dollars to send out there to study what clearly must be the genetic defect in this pygmy Indian population to be obese. Like,
Wow.
what the actual like but that's happened. That's real dog. And this isn't like 50 years ago. This is in the last 20 years. This is happening. It blows your mind. And there's for that story, there's a 10,000 other ones. So
Well, I mean, we just went through it. I mean, we just dealt with this exact kind of, media sensation and biased, with different officials in the government, with the vaccines.
yeah,
So, I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, I did not take the vaccines. Number one reason is because usually it takes, years and years and years for these things to get approved, and none of them got approved. What was it? 9 months they got approved. And
yeah.
so, and
Well,
then for them,
there's no data. There's
there was no data.
human safety data
Yeah.
at all.
And,
And
and, and, and then for them to say that you can't sue the manufacturer if they kill you. I mean, how could I just, again, I know the reason why people took it. People took it because they wanted to travel. People
yeah,
took it because they were coerced. They were brainwashed. People took it because they wanted to fit in socially.
mhm.
It was an amazing human experiment of how to take the population and make them turn against another piece of the population in complete conformity.
Yeah.
And it's just it's wild to me that it even happened. And it's a sad I think it's going to be a really sad little piece of 4 or 5 years in American history when we look back 100 years from now, going, this was and I think honestly probably will be like a turning point for America, because I
Uh,
think a lot of people are starting to wake up and starting to go, you know what, this is bullshit, man. We're not conforming anymore. Fuck that. We remember what you did to us when you pulled us away from our grandparents while they were dying in the
yeah,
hospital. You wouldn't let us see them when we know that there was very little possibility of infection,
yeah,
to say goodbye to your grandmother. I mean, are you kidding me? And then
yeah,
for them to shut down churches, that's historic in
yeah,
American history. How could
yeah.
that ever happen?
No, I think you're right. I mean, with this new administration, with I mean, like, not even that. Like, look, I mean, you hear the Zuckerberg on Rogan, like you like that didn't happen. No, literally, the administration called him to take down like satire. Like, I mean, like not even like just unbelievable. Like those, you know, what we're waking up to and kind of exposed to as well. It just truly is. Um,
Everything that we were told was not true is actually coming true. So
Yeah.
it's wild.
Well, and also like so that's one piece, but there's a ripple effect that we've still not fully absorbed. So we're so I'm a venture capital guy, a bunch of different stuff, and I always, you bet on 100 companies, 10 of them usually work and pay for the 90 that didn't. But I always have a big lump and I always go into real estate. So we have a resort property, a couple of properties in the Caribbean, and we've got this really cool residential commercial to resi project that we're doing. So we're doing a rooftop bar, all this stuff. So I've consumed restaurants, but I've never been in hospitality. So open up 2 restaurants, bar club and stuff. So I'm just talking to people in my local town that are in hospitality and like, hey, I'm hiring the right people and just talking about it. And we're in Lexington, Kentucky, which is UK college town. And he gave me like one of the most insightful pieces because I'd heard about COVID kids, like COVID babies. I'd heard about that level of the kids that like they're not really adjusting well in school, playing well because like they were raised in this bubble, whatever. So I've heard all of those analogies. Dude, he's like, man, Delk, we had bar fights in here, 2 a night, right? Back in the day. Last 2 years, because like the COVID kids are, he's like, we haven't had a bar fight in 8 months. He's like, it's the weirdest thing, man. He's like, they don't know how to fucking talk to girls. He's like they'll go up to a bar, like order a shot. And these like just all college bar. So that's the future of our country. And that's what you subsided. So like that's the piece that we have not yet began to comprehend or feel that that's what's happening now. They don't know how to communicate. They're all like here. They don't know how to do this, right? They're like it's I don't know. So
Well,
combine
it's
that with what we talked about, when we first caught on about, you know, AI and what that does. It's already, such a great tool. And I think it's like very much like electricity is probably like that equivalent of magic. It's as big as the advent of the wheel, but I think electricity, it's just all things everywhere. So you layer that piece in, which is a great tool, but also is a crutch that, takes people away from connectivity. I don't know, man. It's as exciting and bright as it is. Like, you hope that we get it right because I think
well,
we have the ability to mess it up too.
well, if people are going to live long, I'm just telling you. I mean, this is one of the biggest pieces of one of the biggest puzzle pieces that I'm figuring out right now is that if we're going to live long, if you want a long life, you're going to have to be social. You're going
Yeah,
to have to get around people. You're going to have to make new friends,
yeah,
because having a social group of people that are your friends, that they love you, that they care about you, that they want to be around you, that you want to be around them, that you can talk about things, that you can, I mean, people don't realize it. That is just as important as me eating the Brian Johnson goop. You know what I mean? So it's
I,
like having a social, some sort of environment is just so important. I mean,
the,
it's incredibly important to our mental health and our physical health.
I don't, yeah. So like everyone should just like replay and rewind what you just said because that is there's like scientific journals like in literature on this that's so true. And you look at these, blue zones where like people are living past 100, these centurions or whatever. It is all to do. All yes, plant, diet, environment, all these things. It is all to do with community. It really is like, and think of it from an anecdotal standpoint. Like my wife's grandfather, my wife's grandmother rather, 92, fell, broke her hip, otherwise good help, and passed away. Her grandfather, who we went and visited 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, um, right before her grandma passed, um, 96, full on dementia. So like, hi, how are you? We'll forget you very quickly, but full on dementia, but healthy as a horse, right? Like, text, it's like, oh, the weather, sports. I mean, those type of conversations, but like some mental, not there, but just completely healthy. Was in the room, like they were in a nursing home, hospice, whatever. So she passed away. He stopped eating 5 days later. It's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. And he passed away. He
Wow.
passed away like a week ago. So what does that tell you? Like he had a UTI. Like there's always the thing, but like if you were to see like the decline, and I would argue till I'm blue in the face, it's that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's proven that, your spouse of 50, 60 years passes away, you're probably like 5 years away from going as well, right?
Yeah.
Because you had this deep connection for so many years. I mean, it's powerful, man. I'm just telling you right now, man. I could do this for another 3 hours, but I want people to get to know you, and I really appreciate you coming out on Wealth on the Beach Club or Wealth on the Beach podcast today. And but tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing, and because we want to connect, and then how people can connect with you.
Yeah. So I'm Jeremy S. Delk on all socials. So you can find me there, or jeremydelk.com. So yeah, we're looking for deals. We're always actively investing. So we like to look at that. We love talking to founders and startups. We have strategic capital, so that's kind of our thing. So a lot of times, founders or folks are looking for money, and they do need money, but they're also taking that money to go and solve a solution, right? Is it accounting? Is it finance? Is it marketing? Whatever. So we have some of those shared services, so we can kind of help articulate and speed that along for them. So that's one piece. And then I actually had a business in the Philippines for a number of years. We had like 100 and something staff over there. So it was a lot of like content, copywriting. So if I can help you out there, I'm happy to do that. And then as of late, the last year or so, I started, speaking, more on podcasts, on stage and stuff. And I've been doing a lot of like coaching, which has been a ton of fun for me. It's more about like your, just overall kind of happiness and like fulfillment piece. I help with business because like that's just easy, but like business is business. So, a buddy of mine, Roland Frazier, I don't know if you know him. He's like, Jeremy, you don't value what you know because you know it. So I guess that's true. So business is like the easy part. But I've dealt with, I went through a really bad divorce. I had lost my dad. So I had a lot of trauma, a lot of, failures, and went through a lot of things that I think hopefully some of my pain can help, keep people away from that. So that's a lot more fun that I've been doing. So yeah.
Well, I hope everybody reaches out to you. I'm gonna ask my audience right now, if you're listening, if you can hear my voice, if you're looking at my face, do me a favor, reach out to Jeremy. Just at least send him a DM. Just send him a message and say, "What's up, dude? Saw you on Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo, and I want to connect." And who knows? Maybe you resonate with Jeremy, and maybe you want him to be your coach. Nothing wrong with that. Get together with somebody that's had success, that maybe is in a place that you want to be. Because again, I'd pay anybody before I'd pay a college money. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of you that are young entrepreneurs. You need a coach. You need somebody that's going to mentor you in on how to be successful in what it is that you want to be successful in,
Yeah.
instead of getting all kinds of general stuff that most of this crap you don't remember 10 years anyways down the road. And by the way, you want to get connected with more people, then just get out of the house.
Yeah.
Go volunteer. I mean, you know how many people you could meet if you volunteered, if you got on, some sort of committee or went to the,
Yeah.
government place, or, I mean, there's so many places to meet people, right?
100%. And like I firmly believe that. Like just you never know where a conversation or a relationship will take you. I will tell you something for like, guys trying to raise money and stuff like that, because this is something that I see so clear. And it's a mindset, but I think it's also the nature of the relationship. When I'm coaching a client and I'm kind of going through it, a lot of times those end up like, cause you get to know somebody and you say, hey, I like the business. I can help. It does, I end up investing or partnering in some way. But in that relationship, the coach, mentor, mentee, whatever you want to kind of call, the level of vulnerability is so much higher that you just rip through the bullshit and get it done. So like, Daniel, you're going to tell me like, what the fuck's going on, man? Like, what are you scared of? What's keeping you up at night? Like you're kind of going, and like, that's what we'll kind of get into. And that's where I can actually help. So I know it's hard. So like, if I coach you, great. If I don't, whatever. But so think about that. Like being vulnerable is so, so important because it builds connection, like what we're talking about. But even more than that, like on my investor hat, the biggest mistake, the biggest I see early founders or especially young people trying to raise capital is they have every figured out. They've got a 25-page deck, every source, everything. They have it all figured out. Dude, I don't have it fucking all figured out, right? So how the fuck are you going to have it all figured out? So that's like, well, then what can I help you with? You just need money. I'm not going to do that. I'm not dumb money. So you've already kind of ruined it. As opposed to come in like, Daniel, I can sell ice to Eskimos. I've got it figured out, whatever. I cannot balance my fucking checkbook. Well, Daniel, guess what? I can. Like, so now I trust the fucking hell out of you because and the former, like they're either lying or not competent enough to know that they don't know it. Either way, I'm not fucking investing. As opposed to now, door number two, that vulnerability of like, I can do this. This keeps me up at night. That's my fear. Well, now we've got a relationship. Now, like, oh, I can help you out because that's where investors, partners are. Like, yes, you need capital, but like, it's another mentor, partner, like advisor type of role. So yeah.
Yeah,
So think about that. So think about that mindset. Like
in my business, it's called coachability, man. So it's like, I mean, there's so many people that are just not coachable
yeah,
in when they meet somebody that's more successful than them. You go to a coach, you need to say, and this is what I did. I started in business at 21 years old. I said, look, tell me what I need to do. As long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I'll do it. I don't
yeah,
care what I got to do. I want to get to that next level in my life. And I think that if somebody's working with, somebody that is trying to guide them, be open, be honest,
yeah,
be authentic, be real. Just, tell them what you need and just don't act like you know everything because the truth is they probably know more than you. And sometimes it's easier on the outside to look in, right? So outside looking in to say, okay, I can see the full picture here and
mm-hmm.
say, all right, this is where you're having a challenge. This is how we fix it. This is where, and sometimes you can't see it when you're so ingrained in your own self and your own business and your own thing. And it's your baby and you can't see any other possibilities other than what you think you know. And I always tell everybody that you only know what you know because of what you know. And, and so, and it's because of that, of me being coachable that I think, helped me along the way. So, hey, with that said, everybody continue to dream bigger than ever. Thank you again, Jeremy, for coming on, man. We're going to have a lot of people reach out to you, say what's up. But hey, everybody, get after it. It's time for you to get after it. It's time for you to put in the work, put in the action, put in the effort. And of course, as always, do it now. God bless you. We'll see you at the top.
Thanks, Daniel.